Okay, so we're here with Stan the dog, man. Listen, show him this thing that you told me to get. So Stan was like, he texted me like, man, this is the one. This is gonna get him to bite. You can hang it from a tree. Let me tell you right now.
Yeah, it does get him to bite though.
It does. But don't hang it from no tree. If you have a dog over what?
I'd probably say 60 pounds.
60 pounds. So that they don't have that on here. They don't be like, yo, don't do this, and that.
Yeah, this is a European company, so I don't know.
It got here pretty quick. I'll be honest with you, it got here pretty quick. But you see this right here? They missed and ripped this stitching already. I don't even think they tore, like they didn't bite on this, but they got it. Oh, it's a tooth in there, so they ripped that. And then he was like, yo, I know your dogs like to bite and, hang from trees per se. This leather here will force them to bite a little harder. What we're seeing though is once they got through the leather, now look at this stitching. Unfortunately, they've already torn through that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know. I got one in the car and it don't look like that. So let me go grab so they can see the difference.
Yeah, let's see. Stay tuned for 1 second, all right? Hey, like, subscribe, and share.
So yeah, I brought this one. I'm gonna get the light. Oh. So I mean, you can see where they've been chewing on it, but they hadn't.
This is the same one though, right?
It should have been.
It's the same one. Oh yeah, this thing right here, that was gone in 2 seconds. So they have this thing here, and it comes with a little leash type thing.
Little belt thing here.
Yeah, that's gone. I thought you could. I thought you could hang it from there. He was like, "Yo, hang it," and I was like, "Yo, it's off the tree."
Yeah.
That definitely won't hold no 70, 80 pound dog. And then you turn around. Well, let's go out here. We're gonna put this to the test. Yeah. Tron, let's go. We're gonna use Tron.
There you go.
Tron, look. You can calm him down. He's thinking about this land check he's got.
He said, I don't care about that.
Normally, see, a couple seconds ago, he was like, Tron, come here. Nah, leave the food. Drop it. He ain't gonna bite you. He ain't got that in it. I ain't got no thumb pressure though. Drop it. Put it in. That's how you want your dog to come. Alright? So now, make sure the lights are good? You need to take this up. So actually, Stan, he told me something else. So he said, hey, kind of basically never let your dogs chew on you per se. And I don't know if this is a chewing situation though, is it? What's the difference between me having this here and letting them bite it versus me in a suit?
It's more personal in the suit. With this, they can...
I feel that. Try got that.
Yeah, he got a bite, bud. I told you the last time I went through.
Take this thing off. He about to tear my forearm up.
But that's one thing
I definitely put this over ego.
The dogs won't bite you as hard as they would somebody else. So you don't want to give them a bad habit. It's just like if you always got a spotter on your lifting, you're never really going to develop those muscles to actually lift. So that's what that comes from.
Sit.
You see how he keeps slipping off? That's what that leather is supposed to do. So when he does get a good bite, he won't slip off like that.
Well, Stan's got one better than me. Let's go.
Yeah. So now that he has a good bite.
I feel that though. Look, they be telling me sometimes. They be like, Stan. They be like, Tron got me. I'm like this. Yeah, he ain't finna get me.
So these are designed for when they're working. You can just pull it out real easy if they don't have a good bite. So it's for them to start biting hard. I don't know if it's designed to be hung from way up.
Definitely not. No. He said he don't know. You saw what happened to mine. We hung it up. It didn't work.
So now he's at that really good bite that I can't yank that bitch out.
So explain to them when doing that why it's one of your concerns, not necessarily as a dog losing a tooth.
Because if he has, oh shit, here, go play. If he has that in the back of his mouth, the likelihood that you're gonna be able to pull teeth out, it just goes down because he has that really good bite. Versus if he has those front two hanging, pulls it off, he can lose a tooth easy. I've seen a dog lose a tooth on a suit.
Yeah.
Guy caught him and he swung him and he barely had that front of his mouth.
Yeah.
Chip tooth comes out. Then you're spending about $2,000 on a titanium tooth.
It's like basically what hanging from your pinky finger basically at that point. Hey, drop it.
So I I like these, but I guess we wouldn't use them for like hang time stuff.
Yeah.
I think that Ray Allen bite pillow with the jute material.
Oh yeah.
Is probably the best one for that because of the design.
Godly, if that's the one, Ray Allen.
I think that's where we got that one from.
Redline Canine and Elite Canine are two places I order most of the stuff. Well, and I think you got one for me off of Ray Allen potentially, but I wouldn't know.
No, it was Redline. Yeah. Redline Canine was that good one.
Because when people ask me, I say, yo, Redline Canine and Elite Canine are two places. That day when we was at Jamarcus' house on the computer.
And then there's different levels. So that level 3 is really good for dogs like this. But you wouldn't want to start a puppy or a smaller dog on those because
level 3. So we're going to show you on the computer then what that looks like and where to get this stuff. That'll be another part of the episode. People always say, hey, where do I get that bite pillow? Where I get such and such? Definitely Elite Canine or Redline Canine, and then there's levels to this shit, as they say. So
yeah, I like this European company as well. They have some like different cuffs that you can get. So if the dog's like, when they're on a suit, if they're biting low or high, you can actually put these plastic things so they have to bite right in that section. So we started doing that with Juice on the legs because he likes to go toward the ankle, but we want him hitting more here to here because that's going to be a hard bite to make a dog's miss if they're coming up in that area there.
That makes sense. Well, I'm gonna bring Ego out and see the difference here in a second. I'd like to get him a little wore out, talk a little bit about basically the conditioning of the dog too, and what you need to do in preparation to get a dog to both protect your home, but even more importantly, to have the endurance to get through a good workout per se.
So in the early stages when you are working with your dog, you want to start short. You want to make them successful. You want to make it fun for them so they know that they worked a little bit and then they're going to win. And then as they get older and the more conditioned they get by taking your dogs out on walks, by running them, having drag bags, pulling weights, you've seen all the stuff Trevor and I do with our dogs. Those things are going to make it easier for them to continue to do it when they get a little tired. It's just like you. If you've never warmed up for a marathon, after that second mile, you can be like, forget this. But when you've prepared for running over 26 miles, you're not worried about the conditioning of it because you know you can do it. So you want to build your dogs up to the point where they can do anything that you want. And it all starts with simple games like making a miss. Because it's not always going to be easy for the dog, and you want them to have that confidence, that that they're never going to stop until they get it. And then you build them up and you make them work a little harder. Hey, and then he wins. So when we start doing more stuff with the dog, he knows he has to take all of this punishment, quote unquote punishment, to win the game. It's all a part of the game. Turn. Out. Nope. Sit. Sit. Nope. Work. Good boy. Good. Out.
Stand.
Tron, out. Nope. Yeah, so this is definitely not designed for two of these folks to be playing hard. You'll put Tron up? Yeah. It's definitely not designed for that one there. What? Good. Yeah, so you see, he's not letting me yank that out. So he's got a really good bite. And that's what you're wanting, folks. Ooh, it's cold out here, boy. Where you go?
You didn't even want his lamb shank.
Yeah. See, even there. That's a good bite. And that's what you're wanting. You see he's losing it a little bit. You getting dizzy?
I'm losing it too. Out! Watch my balls. Watch my balls. Hey!
That's what you're wanting. You're wanting your dog to know to work and that they're going to have to do certain things to get it. So when you're starting out, you don't want to reward your dog at low areas. You want him to have to go up and work for it, because if somebody's like, oh, that dog may get discouraged and not want to do it anymore because, it's not an easy bite. So you got to make it a little harder for the dog to win, so when those hard times come, they know it's part of it.
We'll talk a little bit more about this. People about to do an Instagram version. Just stay tuned, take care of your dogs. So guys, we just showed you objectively the dog's doing a little bite work with these things here. I keep getting that question at times, and it's actually a scary question if I'm being honest, where people say, hey, I want my dog more aggressive. I repeat, you don't want an aggressive dog. But I was sitting here talking to Stan, and he said, hey, what are some things that people could do to get the dog more protective? One thing I will tell you off tops is some of you sent me your dogs, and they don't look like protective dogs. So if you don't get a dog that has that root in it, do you know why I believe that I could create a protective line? Zara's dad, Bossy's Kane, unfortunately he's passed. There is a picture on their page where he was doing bite work at 130 pounds, I believe, of XL Bully. So I go, okay. Plus, they bred her closer to the terrier, which I know how to bring that out. But I saw something in the history that said, oh, she should be able to do this, right? And then we see Ego. He's doing a good job for the most part, and he's just proof of concept. So I don't trip when he doesn't do things perfect, because I need his grandson. His grandson will be what we'll call perfect in my eyes, not according to your standard or some written code. But what are some things you recommend them doing to feel confident about their dog becoming more protective or being more protective in the home?
So I think the most important thing is going to be confidence. You do not want a dog that's insecure or worried about the world around them. You need a dog that can go anywhere and be able to basically stand on his own 4 feet. Athleticism is the next thing, because if the dog's not athletic, if your dog's overweight or not healthy, conditioned right, they're not going to be able to do the things that they need to do to protect the home. And then the third is going to be your bond with the dog. You have to have the type of relationship with the dog. If the dog doesn't like you, if you only see the dog for 5 minutes a day and you're screaming at it, why is that dog going to want to protect you and put his life on the line for you? So you have to develop some type of bond and a relationship with the dog to have these type of things. Like Trevor said, you do not want aggression, because aggression, if you put more pressure on an aggressive dog, they can choose flight very easily, because they're trying to scare you away. And we don't want that. We want that dog to know that it can get you away. The pack leader, when somebody comes up, he's not wondering if he's going to win that. He knows he can win it, and he's going to do everything he can to keep his pack safe. So that's one thing that you're going to want your dog to know as well.
Okay, so what we'll try to shoot, and I know some people have got some timid dogs. I had a long conversation, and it's so funny because, the guys watching, for one, thank you people, everybody who's watching. They're like, man, you one of the best dog trainers. I'm not saying, my man, let me be very clear. Stan trains dogs. I wouldn't train your dog if you gave me $1 million, to be clear. It just ain't enough. I have enough stuff to work through, but you definitely want to follow Stan. 2, I thought it would be important to make sure, because I see the gap, that people knew how to better manage what's in these dogs and their dogs. Now this education, to a degree, kind of goes for all dogs. Even a Dutchess and Hound, aka the weenie dog, was used for ratting. That thing go down in that hole and like a real weenie dog and get busy. Y'all made them foo-foo. But all the dogs, for the most part, outside of your toy breeds, were created for work and can do something. Here's the challenge. You're not doing anything with your dog, and you're not figuring out what the dog needs. That's the key thing. I gave the dogs some lamb shank, right? They'll go quiet when the food is put in there. We're talking raw, good stuff. Because Stan's here, they're like, nah, bro. I ain't trying to play with no lambing right now. I want to go play. Where's the fun at? That feeds their soul. Over a 72-hour time frame, in my experience, if the dogs have a day of conditioning, they're normally cool. If we do a day of what I call mind development, which requires them to think, they're pretty cool. Then if we do a day of strength training, guess what? They're pretty cool. If that isn't done over 3 days, and mind you, sometimes the dog do all that in one day. But if that's not done over a 72-hour frame, your dogs become destructive. And your house then, is up in shambles. But when we say we want to protect the dog, it's like you feeling safe knowing you got a pistol on you. But you ain't safe if you never shot the pistol.
Yep.
So you still in a frightened state. So you got to go to gun classes. You need to go get your gun license. You need to go to shoot a little bit so you can get an idea of how to point that thing, how to aim, the kickback when it comes, so that you don't miss if somebody is unfortunately invading your home. Confidence isn't a dog biting a person. Confidence actually is a dog not biting a person. That's the trick. It's like, yeah, my dog will, but he knows he doesn't need to. Like, unless I'm in a bad situation. And even then, he still will assess.
Yeah, you don't want a dog to just be reactive, because I mean, if you got kids running around, you don't want that to trigger your dog. If your kids are screaming, you don't want that to trigger your dog. You should be able to take your dog anywhere. There was actually a story of a guy who, we trained his dog. He actually had him at the bar with him, or a restaurant. I don't know if it was in a bar, but this guy came up and was basically talking some shit. And long story short, the dog was calm, cool, and collected until the guy gave him an alert command, and the dog hit the end of the leash, started barking, and that was enough to deter that man from trying to do anything more. And I think that's one statistic that is not shown, is how many times did a dog's presence prevent something from going left? Even with police officers, people, how often is that undervalued? My thing.
It is highly undervalued, because again, people, 9 out of 10 people actually don't know a lot about dogs. So even if a person has a dog, they don't really know nothing about their dog. So if you came out, you saw a dog, that dog, especially my dogs, they have you a little worried. They be like, you think before you move, you're like, yo, is it okay? Like, every question you probably ask yourself when there's no dog around, you ask yourself when there's a dog around. And that in itself lets me know that I'm safe. Because I know you ain't gonna move too fast. And it used to be when I had this dog named Kane, who was crazy as hell, I said, hey, whatever you do, don't make no fast movements, okay? Because he's not all there. And if you move too quick, you could be running into some problems, just letting you know. So none of that fast movement, none of that stuff there. No spaz hands. He's just a little nuts. So for one, again, build confidence. We'll try to do is some more things around confidence. Get you some equipment to train the dogs. And I've told everybody, especially ones that have messed me out of states, get you someone who knows how to do bite training and work with them and learn from them. Because your dogs can bite doesn't mean they'll bite when you need them to, unfortunately, right?
Yeah, you got to put them in different situations. There's been a couple times where you do a home invasion scenario and the dog's never bit there before, and they're like, what am I supposed to do? Until they learn that they're supposed to do that thing. So that's why you see military and police officers doing like crazy things with their dog, because you never know what you're going to encounter. And even if you do prepare your dog for all of these things, the dogs know when it's a real situation versus a training situation. So you can try to set it up as much as possible, but the dog's still going to know. But we want dogs to have confidence to know that, yes, in a oh shit situation, I still can do what I need to do. And a lot of the time, the dog being there and giving you time to either get your gun or get out of the house or get into a back room, that's what's going to be important. It's not about the dog mauling somebody and killing them. It's about you being safe. If I ever get in a situation when I'm out with Rocco and he has to bite somebody, I'm going to go to my truck and I'm going to whistle, hey Rocco, come on, let's go. He going to jump in the truck and we're leaving. And that's just what we're trying to do.
You see that right there? That's the key too. Being tough. That tough thing, the toughest thing you could do is keep your life safe.
Just go home to your family. I want to go home to my family, and that's the end of the day. That's what we're trying to do, and your dog can help you do that. It's just one thing you got to understand. It's not all about being tough. It's about being safe.
Guys, so much more to come. Stay tuned. Take care of your dogs. As always, thank you, Stan, for educating them. We got more coming. So go ahead, and guys, Tifa here, Fit Bully TV. Stan's gonna talk to you about the things you don't want to do when or if you get bit by a dog, and then tell him at least one great story of when you got chewed the fuck up.
Just one?
Yeah, he be sending me all this stuff, man. He didn't got it.
It comes with the territory. So what you don't want to do if you're getting bit is you don't want to start moving or really making noise for the dog. You actually want to go limp. So we can do two parts. One story that one of my worst bites, this Rottweiler tried to take off my thumb. I spent about 45 minutes working with this dog, like hand feeding it. She was good. Then Maddie was like, hey, let's get a video of it. I'm like, that's fine, cool. So we had her out there and she started, it was fine. She jumped up on me. Maddie went to correct her. She came back down and I went to feed her a treat, asked her to sit. She didn't want to sit. So she literally, I think it's, let's see, I forget. But whatever thumb it was, she had this part of my hand in her mouth. And when she went to bite, we actually got on video, I went with her. If I would have tried to pull out or anything besides going with the dog and being limp, I probably wouldn't have my thumb to this day. So that's one thing you got to do is keep your cool whenever you're in a dog's mouth and try not to like, ah, shit. It's the hardest thing in the world to do, but it's going to keep you safe. Trevor could probably attest to that because he almost lost his thumb to a puppy, and I guarantee you he wasn't screaming or hollering or anything. He just was like,
Yeah, you deal with, you roll with the punches because you getting punched regardless.
I mean, you got to. I mean, just like I got bit in the face. I was working the dog, had him right here, and I was wanting to get a better bite. Bent down, he comes off, and I see him. I'm like, ah, shit. So I'm trying to retreat, and he gets me right above the lip. And right after that, you finish working the dog and take care of yourself afterwards.
Why is it that you're not afraid, or basically you don't get discouraged after getting bit by a dog that you teach it to bite?
Because they're doing what they're being taught to do. And in that specific case, it was my fault. So if you get bit by a dog when you're working with him, it's your fault. You should have known where you were at. You should have not put so much pressure on the dog. There's something that you did wrong. So in this instance, the dog, he was known for face biting, and it's one of those things you trust your abilities, and he weaved, and I thought he was gonna bob, so he came and caught me.
Look, keep going, man. You ain't got no more to tell him.
Not about that specific story, but you got to keep coming back because it's just like basketball. If you get fouled or anything like that, you're not going to stop playing. So when these dogs are doing this stuff,
just turn it off when you're done. Move, dude.